Be actually. So, in fact, I'm waiting for. Hello and welcome to Cricket 360 after a wonderful ODI series where Rohit Sharma stamped his authority and the first Indian captain to ensure that India beat West Indies in a complete whitewash. We are now back to T20 season. Last weekend was too much fun. You would have seen probably both of us and a few other of our esteemed panelists on during the IPL auction. So much to talk about. T20, the format. There are some wonderful young bowlers who've backed some very hefty prizes. And of course, the West Indian batsmen, many of them and all-rounders like Holder have, made a good prize as well. So we're all set to, we're probably about 13 minutes away from Eden Gardens hosting the first T20I. I have Joydeep. I had hoped he's going to be at Eden Gardens, but he is all set to, he's in Rajkot right now because that's where the next game is from a Ranji perspective. And I am in Bangalore. So, we both wish we were in Kolkata, probably doing this from Eden Gardens, but hopefully next time. Joydeep, welcome to the show. We want to know as much as you can share about Eden Gardens, the pitch. How is the pitch likely to play out? What can we as cricketing fans expect from the first T20 match?
Yeah, thanks, Pranti. Great to be back in our analysis as we did in the last few matches that India played. But yes, we both would have rather been in Eden Gardens. It's a beautiful time of the year to be in Kolkata right now in the evenings. I know there are no spectators, but I think you and I would have somehow squeezed into the ground somehow. But that's for another time. Yes, very excited about this ground because this is a relayed wicket, as you and I were discussing off air. This is a relayed wicket. There was a time when the wicket was losing its sting and was spinning a lot, and Sunil Narayan was unplayable, as was Iqbal Abdullah and Shakib and everybody else that bowled with him in that KKR team. But right now, about 3 or 4 years back, it's all for fast bowlers, which is why we've seen probably the potency of a Narayan or even a Varun or Kuldeep when he was there is not what it used to be. And also the faster bowlers. I remember the spell from Chris Wokes when bowled out Bangalore for 54 after his career out for 109. Yeah, that's brought a smile to his face. I knew that would happen. But having said that, now it's all about fast bowlers. It's a hard green wicket. And Shujan Mukherjee, the curator over there, has done a fabulous job. He really looks after this pitch and the ground as if it's his own backyard, spends a lot of time there, and he will leave no stone unturned to make sure that this is an absolute belter.
Absolutely. I mean, Eden Gardens. I mean, the moment you said Eden Gardens, I pictured a stadium full of more than, a lakh spectators. I remember my first game I watched there was not an India game, actually. It was a India versus World 11. I remember Lara was playing there. This is probably 92, 93 in the summers. I mean, it's hard to really, I can imagine an Ahmedabad without spectators, but somehow I can't imagine Eden without spectators. And I really hope as things are easing up in India, I'm hoping by the second half of the year we have spectators back because what's the fun without I mean even for the players, I'm sure it's so much about the cheers and the buzz. And West Indies as a team is loved so much. Again, somehow Eden Gardens and West Indies and India, it brings me back to Hero Cup again in the early 90s. What a fantastic tournament that was, Kumble bagging. Of course, the world has moved on. We're talking about a different format. And you're right, this is going to be obviously very helpful towards the fast bowlers. And let's talk about the West Indies side because, you've always mentioned that this is their best format. They have just come back from a very successful tour against England. Their batsmen, I mean, they're right from the top till probably 7 and 8, the way they belt sixes. They have some tall blokes out there who can, pack a punch. They hit hard. I think right from Puran to, obviously Holder to Allen to everyone, really strong guys. So from your perspective, given that, this is a format they love and they have done really well in the recent past, would you reckon that they would like to bat? And, what's a good score on this particular Eden that, that they would like to post a target, given batting is it's such a great strength for these guys?
See, I feel if you know the West Indians, and I know a few of them, I had the good fortune of spending some time with them in IPL teams. They're all about living life, all about today, all really hang loose and carefree and really like to have a good time. This is the version for that, you know. So if you just see their nature and the version, they just fit hand in glove. For the simple reason that this version is not a lot about discipline, not a lot about patience. You know, you can change the game in 5 or 6 overs with a lot of flair, which the West Indians have oozing out of themselves in everything that they do, whether it's on the dance floor or music or just the way they talk or just the way they are built physically. It just seems to be they're very blessed. And in this, the only place that they have lacked is the fact that where there's been discipline, a team has been 70 for 3 in 18 overs, and then for the number 4 or 5 and 6, 7 to take it to the 45th over. 70 for 3 means it's 170, 80 all out. So, but often good teams at 70 for 3 will take it down to 240, 260. They might not take it to 320 because 70 for 3 is pegged you back. But that long haul, the waiting game, they're not for the waiting game, which again, in this version is the biggest plus point because they've got so
Yeah,
much of firepower in the team, the names you mentioned. If two of them are in the park, the game's over. Doesn't matter who the opponent is. And they've beaten, as you rightly said, they've beaten a very strong England team 3-2. That's a cracking England team
yeah.
that they beat 3-2. And you know, the flair was coming out all over. So I'm just hoping that you know some of them get going today because the West Indies in the one days was not the West Indies we know. And I'm hoping that you know they play to their full potential. May the best team win. There are two cracking teams in the T20, but I reckon anything below 180 will be less than par.
All right, we've got the par score about 180. You're right. I mean, that particular series was fabulous. I mean, you're right. The English team was a strong one. In fact, I remember the game where they would have won another game. I mean, these guys probably lost by a run or two,
One run,
and
one run.
those two one run. And I mean, that's hard. I mean, that's unbelievable batting from number six, seven, eight. They stayed till the end, and even their sixes. I mean, boy, it was a spectacle. Again, Eden's obviously a big ground. But okay, 180 is an interesting one. Let's talk about the Indian. It's again, to me, it's a classic case of we are blessed with so much talent. We just saw what happened at the IPL auction, so much to choose from. What's the lineup that you would go with? Would you start with Rohit and Rahul? That's probably a certainty.
Yeah, Rahul is actually you know missing out on this. So Ishan Kishan, I think, and
This one.
Rohit will probably start,
Right,
and then after that, I think that's the order for the day. Then after that, we will have the usual suspects, you know, Virat and Shreyas and Surya and Pant. I would like to see Surya as far back as possible because he really has the game to be at number 6 and take it out. Sometimes I would see four, maybe 4 and 5 between Pant and Iyer because you know you can have it any way you
yeah,
want. Although I feel 4 for Iyer is even better because sometimes the 4 could be batting in the 10th over. Sometimes that's possible. So you
right.
don't want a punt with 10 overs to go because he seems kind of lost what his role is. He will learn. He will also learn, as all these players that we talk about. But somebody who's batted at 4 all his life, like an Iyer, knows his role more, has done it before for Mumbai, for IPL teams. So he's more adept with what's coming up. And Surya, we've seen, I think at number 6, he was phenomenal for KKR. And I think
Phenomenal.
they made a huge mistake letting Surya Kumar go away from KKR when they did. That was a major miss. I mean, KKR usually are very good with their retainerships and everything, but that's one that they missed because we just know where he is now, and he wasn't playing
Yeah,
for India when they let him go. So just look at where he has gone. I mean, when you look at a player, and because we're in this trade, we see the range. Where can this boy go? And we knew where this boy could go. He was probably at 50, 60% when he was in KKR. Now he's at 90%. Look where he is. He's irreplaceable in the team. He's such a team where he's such a player where he could fit into anywhere. You could make him open. You could do anything you want there. So having said that, this is obviously a time for India to also set its team, for Rahul Dravid stroke Rohit Sharma to figure out who's going where. And also a huge role will be the spinners that they'll have because the fast bowlers will be meat and drink for West Indies. It's how the spinners face in this against this strong West Indian will determine who has the upper hand in this game.
I was about to get to the spinners because you obviously mentioned that the pitch would suit the bowlers, but given it's the West Indies, would you take a chance with Ravi Bishnoi or would you still go with Chahal and Kuldeep potentially? What's the spinning combination against this West Indian attack?
Yeah, I just feel two spinners. You can go with either, but two spinners always, because I feel Kuldeep, you give him a long run. He's had a lot of success in this ground. Sometimes when
Yeah,
you go to a ground and you've had a lot of success, you've had hat tricks. You just sort of you get into the ground and you feel, hey, I belong here. Good memories keep flooding back. So he has had a bit of a downtime in KKR, the way he was looked after. See, spinners in the IPL will go for a few, but it's how you back them up, which is why the spinners in the Gautam Gambhir era, they flourished because they knew that they had their captain's back, and the
yeah.
captain had their back. It goes vice versa. So when you feel that your place, so you could not play the next game, or your position in the team is in question, then the ball just gets tighter in the hand, doesn't come out as nicely as it should. A lot of nerves come in, no matter how big a player you are, and no matter how great a player you are. It just happens to everybody because we are all human at the end of the day. So I obviously feel that out of whichever spinners they play, I feel the spinners will have a bigger role than the faster bowlers, because on such a deck, unless you have somebody who's bowling 150 and blow you away, 135 to 140 to 143 is exactly what the West Indians would
The,
like. So over there, if you have somebody who can spin the ball on a wicket like this, I would be expecting a little bit of grass, and it normally is at Eden Gardens at this time of the year. That will even be better for the faster bowlers. But for the spinners, for the wrist spinners especially, they are the only ones who can get some turn on such a wicket where it's rock hard and with a bit of grass. So they will have a major role to play.
two spinners, and let's see if Ravi Bishnoi gets the break. I mean, at some point he is. I mean, again, he's been. If you watch some of the Rep Sports videos, KL, Gotham, they've backed Ravi Bishnoi. He's part of their franchise. They've obviously been full of praises, and he's a young lad. Again, a wicket-taking option could be really an interesting season for him. And again, I always like to watch out how do players respond once they have been backed for a hefty price. I would be looking to see what does Ishan Kishan do. I mean, it was such a for Shreyas. Shreyas was expected. Ishan again expected, but these sort of life-changing moments. It's really interesting to see. It'll be interesting to say how do they actually respond on the field, because at the end of the
That's
day,
a that's a
it's the
that's a great question, Prantik. That's a great question, because I think individually how you are depends how you will react. So I know
that's
Shreyash
right.
Iyer somewhat, and I know Ishan Kishan really well, and I think they will react really well because they feel they deserve the money. So
Right.
they
That's
are
a good
so
one.
full of confidence. Yeah, they are so full of confidence. They hold themselves high in their game esteem. So they feel I've got what I deserve. I'll go and show the world what I want. But there are some who have a little bit of doubt, saying that have I gone for a little too much? That's when you underplay yourself and you feel, oh, maybe I don't, maybe, oh my God, I was expected to get 14 wickets. Now I got to get 20 wickets. I was supposed to get 300 runs. Now I have to get 600 runs. But people like Ishan Kishan and Shreyash Iyer are such game changers. Having played for India, that helps. Suddenly, a non Indian player getting 10 crores, an Indian player getting 12, 13 crores is different. Because once you
Yeah.
play for India, you are actually putting up with the challenges, the belief of a whole country. So once you can handle that, IPL becomes easy. It's for the players who are not playing for the country and who go for a big prize. They sometimes feel the heat.
No, before we end, this is a great topic. And but tell me this. I mean, as a coach, as an administrator, I mean, two questions really. Where does this confidence come from? Are these players? There are some players who just kind of back themselves and they kind of either born with it or that's how they maybe hype themselves up. And as a coach, where does one try and also guide them that so that it doesn't get to their head? Where does
Yeah.
this confidence come from, and how does one nurture players like Shreyas and Surya and Ishan? This who just it seems to be confidence is oozing out of Ishan every time he's out there. How do you kind of manage that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, it's a very long answer, but I'll keep it as short because we have a cricket game to watch. But I think it comes from the fact that your genes, what you've carried from your parents, maybe what sort of confidence you have. Because as a coach, as an administrator, I meet kids with a lot of confidence. I meet their parents, and I can see a mirror image. On the other side, I meet kids from maybe not that confident a background, and they have a little bit of self doubt. That's one. Second is how early you've got success. Ishan Kishan and Shreya have got success. They've been prodigies. Suddenly, if at
Right.
21, 22, like a Rahul Tripathi, you're making it, he's always been a good player, Rahul Tripathi. He's done really well for Maharashtra. But he's a late blossomer compared to these guys. He's not been an under 19 India star. So somebody like that will still might have a little bit of time to get his way through. Okay, my God, I'm doing well. Do I really belong here? Maybe I do. But Ishan Kisses, they always belonged here. How come you didn't guys notice? So that's the difference. It's how and it goes a long way. So when, as administrators, coaches, we see a guy like Ishan Kishan, we try to keep it low. Hey, we're not there yet. And we meet a guy like a Rahul Tripathi, says, "You're bloody good. You're as good as these guys." So that's what that's what your job is as a coach and administrator.
Fantastic. And we'll talk about this aspect, the human aspect of cricket, more as we go along. But kudos to these guys. I completely agree that these guys deserve all this and more. And I really hope that they kind of keep that confidence. There will be good days and bad days, whether we win or lose. Hopefully that confidence stays, and that kind of translates into individual as well as team performances. We have a cracker of a series because this is a format where I think both teams are at par. At the ODI, it was evident that India was far superior, if I can say so. But this is going to be a challenging one for India. Hopefully, India also, I mean, we know this right from South Africa that India has been trying to find the right combination across formats. I'm sure Dravid and team have their work cut out. Hopefully, India finds a good balance, and more importantly, hopefully, it's a great series. Joydeep, we'll catch you
Pollard
up.
is back.
Pollard is back.
Pollard is
That's
that's a huge factor because been there,
yeah.
done it, can guide the youngsters. Huge factor.
Absolutely. And for those of you active on social media, you would have seen how his buddy DJ Bravo was trolling him for missing out of the cricket scene. Hopefully, Bravo is happy that Pollard is back. We'll catch you guys at the end of the game, whenever that ends. Hopefully, it's a great, entertaining next 3 hours. See you, Joydeep. See you, everyone.
Catch you guys in a bit.